Henry Cole was a young technician assigned to the exploration ship Aurora. He liked quiet routines and simple tasks that helped him feel calm. Every day he checked tools, cleaned equipment, and organized supply crates. He did not look for danger or adventure. He enjoyed staying in his corner of the ship where things made sense. His life felt small, but he did not mind. Being useful was enough for him. On a cold morning, the Aurora docked at a remote research station to deliver supplies. The station was old and crowded. Its metal walls hummed with the sound of machines that had not been replaced in years. People moved quickly through the narrow hallways, trying to finish their work before the next shift. Henry was asked to carry several heavy crates of replacement parts to the storage area. He followed the map on his tablet and walked slowly, trying not to bump into anyone. But the hallway he needed to use was busy. Station workers rushed past him, each in a hurry to reach another task. Henry felt a little nervous as he tried to move carefully through the crowd. He held the crate tightly against his chest. The crate was heavier than he expected, and he felt its weight pulling him backward each time he took a step. He tried to adjust his grip, but his fingers slipped a little. As he crossed a junction, someone shouted for others to make room. Two workers carrying a long pipe pushed past him, and Henry stepped aside quickly to avoid getting hit. The sudden movement made him lose his balance. He tried to steady himself, but the crate shifted in his hands. He took one step back, then another, and before he could stop himself, he stumbled. He felt his back hit something solid. Henry froze. The crate wobbled, but he managed to keep it from falling to the ground. The hallway grew quiet. The sound of footsteps stopped. It felt as if everyone around him had suddenly remembered the need to breathe. Very slowly, Henry turned his head. Standing behind him was a tall alien figure he had never seen before. The alien was at least a head taller than any human around. His skin was pale like moonlight. His eyes were dark and unsettling, and they seemed to pull the light out of the space around him. Long black hair fell past his shoulders. His uniform was made of a strange dark material that looked both soft and strong. And when he opened his mouth, Henry saw sharp fangs. Henry felt his stomach twist. He knew what the alien was. He had heard stories. Noctari, warriors from a distant system. Strong, fast, silent, and feared by many. Some called them vampire-like because of their fangs and their pale appearance. They were not known for kindness. The alien warrior narrowed his eyes. The air around him felt cold. "Do you wish to die, human?" he asked. His voice was deep and controlled, but it carried anger that cut through the silence. Henry opened his mouth, but no words came out. His first thought was that he must apologize immediately. His second thought was that he might have only a few seconds left to live. He swallowed hard. The crate in his hands felt heavier than before. His knees felt weak. Henry tried to speak. Nothing came out. People at the far end of the hallway slowly stepped back. Some whispered to each other. Others stopped breathing entirely. No one wanted to get involved. No one wanted the Noctari warrior's attention. The alien took one step closer. He towered over Henry. Even without touching him, the alien's presence felt like a weight pressing against Henry's chest. Henry lowered his eyes for a moment, trying to gather his voice. He did not want to make the situation worse. He did not want to insult the alien again. He simply needed to explain it was an accident. I'm sorry, Henry finally said, but his voice trembled and cracked. The alien did not move. He continued to stare at Henry, studying him with a cold and unreadable expression. Henry felt sweat forming on his forehead. He hoped the alien understood him. He hoped the alien would let him go. But the alien did not look satisfied. He leaned slightly closer and narrowed his dark eyes even further. "You struck a Noctari warrior without permission," the alien said. "Such contact is not forgiven easily." Henry felt his heart sink. He had not meant to strike anyone. He had only stumbled. He wished he could go back in time and take a different hallway. He wished he had asked someone for help with the crate. He wished he could simply disappear. It was an accident, Henry whispered. The alien's eyes flickered with something Henry could not understand. "We will see," the warrior said. Henry stood frozen as the alien straightened his posture. The people in the hallway remained silent. No one dared to speak. The only sound was the faint hum of the station lights. Henry knew his day had just taken a turn he could never have predicted, and he had no idea what would happen next. Henry stood in the hallway, still holding the heavy crate, unsure if he should move or stay frozen. The alien warrior's words echoed in his mind, and each second felt slower than the last. The workers around him tried to slip away quietly, afraid to draw attention, leaving Henry alone with the Noctari warrior. Finally, the alien spoke again. "You will come with me," he said. Henry blinked. His voice felt stuck in his throat again. He wanted to ask why, but part of him feared that any wrong word might make the situation worse. He simply nodded. The alien turned and began walking through the hallway. Henry hurried after him, gripping the crate until the warrior glanced back with a sharp look. Henry quickly understood and set the crate down on the floor. Then he followed with empty hands, feeling strangely lighter and more nervous at the same time. As they walked, Henry noticed how people stepped aside without being told. Some lowered their eyes, others kept their distance. The Noctari warrior moved with steady, graceful steps, as if the world around him was nothing more than a quiet shadow. Henry had to move faster to keep up. His thoughts kept racing. He wondered if he was being taken to someone in command or maybe to a room where he would be questioned. Stories about Noctari warriors were not clear, but most of them were frightening. They were known for strength, strict customs, and quick judgment. After several turns, the alien stopped near a door marked with a symbol Henry did not recognize. The warrior pressed his hand to a panel, and the door slid open. The room inside was dim, lit only by a few soft blue lights along the walls. It felt colder than the hallway. "Enter," the alien said. Henry stepped inside carefully. The door closed behind them. The room was simple. A large table stood in the center, and along one wall were strange devices that looked like tools but not any kind Henry had seen before. There was also a dark panel that glowed faintly when the alien approached it. "Sit," the warrior said. Henry sat at the table. The chair was too big for him and slightly uncomfortable. He folded his hands together to keep them from shaking. The alien stood across from him and studied him silently. Henry felt the weight of that stare. It was not just anger. It was something deeper, something shaped by rules he did not understand. "My name is Cauldron," the alien said at last. Henry nodded slowly. I'm Henry. Henry Cole." Cauldron tilted his head slightly, as if testing the name in his mind. "You struck me without cause," Cauldron said. "In my culture, such contact is taken seriously." Henry felt his chest tighten. "I didn't mean to. I slipped. The hallway was crowded. I lost my balance." Cauldron's eyes narrowed. Humans often use accidents as excuses. Henry shook his head quickly. "I'm not making excuses. It really was an accident. I would never try to start a fight." Cauldron stared at him for several long seconds. The silence felt heavy. Henry wanted to look away but forced himself to maintain eye contact. It seemed important. "You did not run," Cauldron finally said. Henry frowned slightly. "Run? Most humans avoid us," Cauldron said. "They fear what they do not understand. You remained where you stood, even when you believed I might harm you." Henry blinked. "I didn't know what else to do," he said honestly. "Running would make it worse. I just wanted to explain." Cauldron's gaze shifted, and for a moment the anger in his expression softened. "You are either brave," Cauldron said quietly, "or foolish. I have not yet decided." Henry's hands tightened together. He was not brave. He knew that. He was just someone who did not want to cause trouble. Cauldron moved to one of the strange devices on the wall. He touched a panel, and symbols appeared, glowing faintly. "For the Noctari," Cauldron said without turning, "uninvited contact holds meaning. It can be a sign of threat, insult, or challenge." Henry swallowed. "I didn't mean any of those." "There is another possibility," Cauldron said. Henry waited, unsure if he should ask. Cauldron turned back toward him. Contact can also signal an unexpected bond, something that fate creates without warning. Henry's eyebrows lifted slightly. Bond. Our customs are old, Cauldron said. They guide us in moments of conflict and connection. I must determine which one this is. Henry tried to understand. The idea of a bond with an alien warrior felt overwhelming. But he could see Cauldron was not simply angry anymore. He was trying to make sense of something. I really am sorry, Henry said again, softer this time. Cauldron looked at him carefully, as if searching for hidden meaning in his voice. Your sincerity is unusual, Cauldron said. Many humans hide their thoughts behind quick words. You speak plainly. Henry looked down at his hands. I'm not good at hiding things. Cauldron stepped closer to the table. Then I will judge you by truth alone. Henry nodded, though he was not sure what that meant. Cauldron raised his hand and pointed to the door. This conversation is not finished. We will continue later. For now, you will stay nearby. I will call for you when I am ready. Henry stood slowly. Am I in trouble? Cauldron's expression changed slightly. That depends on what I learn next. Henry's heart beat a little faster, but he nodded. The door opened, and Henry stepped out into the hallway again. Unsure if things had gotten better or worse. One thing was clear. His simple day had turned into something far stranger than he could have imagined. Henry walked slowly down the hallway, still feeling the weight of Cauldron's words. He could not tell if things had improved or if he had stepped into something far more serious. The cold air from the Noctari chamber still clung to his skin. He rubbed his arms as he tried to calm himself. The station hallway looked normal again. Workers had returned to their routines, but some still glanced at him with worried eyes. He guessed they had heard the rumors already. It did not take long for stories to spread on stations like this. Henry found a bench near a supply terminal and sat down quietly. He rested his hands in his lap and took slow breaths. He wanted to keep working, but Cauldron had told him to stay nearby, and he did not want to risk making the alien angrier. As he waited, he thought about Cauldron's words. Uninvited contact, challenge, insult, or an unexpected bond. Henry did not understand Noctari culture, but he knew enough to realize that Cauldron was taking this very seriously. After several minutes, a familiar voice called to him. Henry? What are you doing just sitting here? Henry looked up and saw Laura Dean, his supervisor from the Aurora. She was carrying a tablet and looked tired, but her eyes widened with concern when she saw him. I've been looking for you, she said. Someone told me you were taken by a Noctari warrior. Is that true? Henry nodded slowly. It happened by accident. I bumped into him. Laura sighed deeply and rubbed her forehead. Henry, you have the worst luck. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? Henry shook his head. No. He just questioned me. Laura sat down beside him. Questioned you about what? Henry lowered his voice. About why I bumped into him. He said it means something important in their culture. I tried to explain it was an accident, but he said he needs to figure out what it means. Laura raised an eyebrow. That sounds like a problem. Noctari are very strict about their customs. They don't forget anything. Henry knew she was right. He felt his stomach twist again. Are you in trouble? Laura asked softly. Henry shrugged. He said it depends on what he learns next. Laura looked at him for a moment, then stood up. All right, I'll go talk to command. We can't have one of our crew held for something like this. Henry quickly stood too. Wait, please don't make it worse. Cauldron didn't seem unreasonable, just very serious. Laura hesitated. You're defending him? After he threatened you? Henry shook his head. I'm not defending him. I just think he's trying to understand what happened. I don't want anyone to start a bigger conflict. Laura sighed again. Fine, but if anything else happens, you call me. Henry nodded. Laura gave him one last worried look before walking away. Henry sat down again. The minutes passed slowly. He felt the tension building in his shoulders. He wondered what Cauldron was doing inside the room. Was he reading reports? Checking records? Speaking with other Noctari? Henry had no idea. Just as he was about to stand up and stretch, the door to Cauldron's chamber slid open. "Henry Cole," Cauldron said. Henry jumped slightly but quickly walked toward him. "Come inside," Cauldron said. Henry entered the room again. It looked the same as before. Dim, cold, and quiet. Cauldron stood near the glowing panel, his hands behind his back. "I have reviewed several accounts of what happened," Cauldron said. "The workers nearby agree you stumbled and did not strike me on purpose." Henry felt relief wash through him. "That's good. I'm glad they said that. But that does not answer the deeper question," Cauldron continued. Henry blinked. "There's a deeper question?" Cauldron stepped closer. "Why did you not show fear? Why did you not flee when confronted?" Henry swallowed. I didn't know if I should run, and I didn't want to make things worse. I was scared, but running felt wrong." Cauldron studied him. "Your honesty continues to be strange. Most would say what they think I want to hear. You speak without hiding anything. It is unusual." Henry rubbed the back of his neck. "I'm not very good at pretending." Cauldron walked to the table and tapped his hand lightly against its surface. "You said you did not intend to challenge me. Yet your behavior suggests something else. You faced me without retreat. You spoke the truth without hiding. This is not common among humans I have met." "I wasn't trying to challenge you," Henry said quickly. Cauldron's eyes flickered with slow thought. "Perhaps not consciously, but the Noctari believe that fate moves in ways we cannot predict. Unexpected contact is not always random. Sometimes it reveals something deeper." Henry shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know anything about fate. I just tripped." "And yet," Cauldron said, "you stand here now." Henry looked away for a moment, unsure how to respond. Cauldron sat across from him, folding his hands. "I will explain something to you, so you understand my concern. Among the Noctari, accidental contact can signal the beginning of a path two individuals are meant to walk. It may be a path of conflict, alliance, or transformation." Henry listened carefully, trying to take it in. "So you're saying us bumping into each other might mean something?" "It might," Cauldron said. "Or it may mean nothing at all. But I must judge it. It is my duty." Henry nodded slowly. "I see." Cauldron continued. "I do not sense deception in you. This is good. But I must understand your intentions fully. The Noctari do not ignore signs." Henry folded his hands. "I just want to do my job and not cause trouble. That's all." For the first time since they met, Cauldron's expression softened. It was only a small change, but enough for Henry to notice. "Your simplicity is calming," Cauldron said. "Most humans speak with too much noise. You speak with clarity." Henry blushed slightly. "I don't know about clarity. I just say what I think." Cauldron stood again. "This part of our conversation is complete. I will consider what you have said. For now, you may return to your ship. But do not go far. I will call for you soon." Henry nodded and stood. "Okay. Thank you. I think." Cauldron tilted his head slightly. "You are welcome." Henry stepped out of the room, feeling confused but strangely hopeful. Something had changed. He did not know what it meant yet, but he felt that Cauldron no longer saw him as an enemy. But he also sensed that this was only the beginning of something much larger. Whatever came next, he was not sure he was ready for it. Henry walked back toward the docking area of the Aurora with slow steps. His mind felt full, as if too many thoughts were trying to speak at once. Cauldron had allowed him to leave, but the words he had spoken stayed with Henry. A path two individuals are meant to walk. Conflict, alliance, or transformation. Henry had never imagined his simple mistake could lead to something so strange. As he entered the busy section of the station, he noticed the way people looked at him. Some stared. Some whispered. A few stepped aside quickly, as if afraid something might follow him. He did not blame them. If he saw someone talking to a Noctari warrior, he would probably stare too. Henry tried to keep his head down as he walked through the docking corridor. He reached the Aurora's entrance and placed his hand on the scanner. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Warmth and familiar sounds greeted him. Felt good to return to a place that made sense. Inside, he headed straight for the small break room. He needed water and a moment to breathe. He pressed a button on the dispenser and filled a cup. As he took a sip, the door opened. "Henry, finally. I was starting to think you had been kidnapped." It was Jack Turner, one of the engineers. Jack was friendly, loud, and always curious. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I heard a rumor you almost started a fight with one of those pale giants. Is it true?" Henry sighed. Of course the rumors had spread. "I didn't start a fight," Henry said. "I tripped and bumped into him. That's all." Jack's eyes widened. "And you're still alive?" "Henry, that's amazing. Or unlucky. Maybe both." Henry didn't want to discuss it, so he set his cup down. "I'm fine. Really." Before Jack could ask more questions, the comm system beeped loudly. "Attention. Report to the main hall. Human and Noctari representatives will speak shortly. All crew members present on station duty are requested to attend." Henry felt his stomach twist. Noctari representatives? Was this about him? Jack raised an eyebrow. "You think this meeting is about your accident?" Henry shrugged weakly. "I hope not, but it might be." Jack patted Henry on the shoulder. "If they ask for volunteers to protect you, I'm busy. But I'll cheer for you from the back." Henry forced a small smile, though he didn't feel like smiling. Both of them walked toward the main hall, where people were gathering. The room was large, with high ceilings and bright lights. Rows of chairs faced a raised platform. Humans filled most of the seats, talking nervously among themselves. Henry chose a seat near the side wall, hoping he wouldn't be noticed. Jack sat next to him. Soon, the room quieted as two station officers entered, followed by a tall figure in dark armor. Cauldron. He walked with calm, steady steps. His presence alone silenced the room. He stood on the platform beside the officers and looked over the gathered crowd. One of the officers spoke first. "Thank you all for coming. We have called this meeting to address an incident that occurred earlier today between one of our crew members and a Noctari warrior. Misunderstandings have caused concern on both sides, and we wish to resolve them clearly." Henry sank lower in his seat. Jack slowly turned his head toward him and whispered, "Yep, this is about you." Henry wished he could disappear. Cauldron stepped forward. His dark eyes scanned the room. "There was contact between the human known as Henry Cole and myself. According to Noctari custom, such contact demands examination. I have conducted that examination." Henry felt his heart pounding. Everyone in the room turned to look at him. Cauldron continued, "I found no deception. The contact was accidental. The human did not intend challenge or insult." Henry let out a slow breath. Relief washed through him. But Cauldron wasn't finished. "However," Cauldron said, "I believe the incident holds meaning. The human showed no cowardice. He spoke honestly. He faced me without retreat. Such traits are not common among humans I have met." Whispers filled the room. Henry felt his ears grow warm. "This sign may indicate a path of alliance," Cauldron said, "and therefore I will observe him closely." Henry's eyes widened in shock. Jack whispered, "Observe you? Like, follow you around?" Henry didn't respond. He couldn't. His mind was spinning. The officer beside Cauldron cleared his throat. "What Warrior Cauldron means is that he believes this event may lead to improved cooperation between our species. It is a positive outcome." Cauldron nodded once. "I will ensure there are no further misunderstandings. The human is under my watch." Henry nearly slid out of his chair. Under his watch. When the meeting ended, people stood up, whispering even more. Some looked confused, others impressed, and a few stared at Henry like he had suddenly become important. Jack leaned close. "Henry, you now have a personal Noctari guardian. Or shadow. Or babysitter. I can't tell which." Henry rubbed his forehead. "I can't believe this is happening. I just tripped." As people left, Henry noticed Cauldron still standing near the platform, watching him. Not with anger this time, but with a calm, steady focus. Henry knew one thing for sure. His life would not be simple anymore. Something had shifted, and whatever came next would be far from ordinary. Henry walked beside Varek as they left the research station. The team on the Aurora prepared a small shuttle for their trip back to the main ship. The air outside was cold and thin, and Henry's breath came out in small white clouds. He felt tired, but his mind stayed busy with many thoughts. He kept replaying the moment when Varek had protected him. He still did not fully understand why it happened. Varek walked with silent and steady steps. His tall frame moved with careful control, like every motion had purpose. Henry glanced at him from time to time. Even though Varek looked calm, Henry could sense that something heavy rested on the alien's mind. When they reached the shuttle, Henry climbed inside and took a seat. Varek stepped in after him and sat across from him. The engine hummed, and the shuttle lifted off the ground. Through the window, Henry watched the research station grow smaller. The silence inside the shuttle stretched for a long moment. Henry tapped his fingers against his leg and looked at Varek again. Henry finally spoke. He used a soft voice. "I do not know why you helped me back there. You did not have to do that." Varek looked at him with his dark eyes. For a second, his expression softened. "You were in danger." I responded. Henry frowned a little. "But you and your people do not usually help humans, right?" Varek paused before answering. His voice held a calm firmness. "That is correct. My people follow our own ways. But what happened to you was not right. Strength should not be used to harm the weak." Henry felt a warm feeling grow in his chest. It was strange, but comforting. "Thank you," he said. Varek nodded once. "You are welcome." The shuttle ride continued quietly. Henry tried to understand what made Varek so different from the other warriors he had heard about. He wondered if Varek had always been this way or if something had changed in him. When the shuttle arrived at the Aurora, the door opened, and warm air greeted them. The crew members glanced at Varek with uneasy curiosity. Alien warriors were not common visitors. Henry stepped out first. He looked back at Varek. "I will take you to Captain Laura. She will want to speak with you." Varek nodded. "Lead the way." As they walked through the ship halls, Henry noticed how everyone moved aside to make space for Varek. Some crew members looked nervous, others cautious. Henry tried to give them small reassuring smiles, but it did not help much. When they reached the command room, Captain Laura stood waiting. She looked at Varek with a steady and sharp gaze. "You must be Varek. Henry sent me a message about you." Varek bowed his head slightly. "I am here in peace." Captain Laura motioned for them to sit. Henry stood beside Varek, feeling nervous. "Tell me what happened at the research station," she said. Henry explained everything. He described the argument between the alien warriors, how they cornered him, and how Varek protected him. He tried to keep his voice calm, but his hands shook a little. Captain Laura listened without interrupting. When he finished, she looked at Varek. "You put yourself against your own warriors. Why?" Varek's voice remained firm and steady. "I acted because they were wrong. Honor means nothing if it harms the innocent. I do not follow cruelty." Captain Laura leaned back in her chair and studied him for a moment. "That is unusual to hear from someone of your kind." Varek did not look offended. He simply answered, "I am not like them." Henry felt a small smile pull at his lips. He could see that Varek meant every word. Captain Laura folded her arms. "I will allow you to stay on the Aurora for now. But I must warn you, some crew members will not trust you. Things may become difficult." Varek bowed his head. "I understand." Henry looked at Varek with a sense of quiet pride. He felt that this moment marked the beginning of something important. He did not know what it would become, but he sensed that Varek's presence would change their ship, their mission, and maybe more. As they left the command room, Henry walked beside Varek again. He felt safer than he had in a long time, and somewhere deep inside, he wondered if this strange connection between a human technician and an alien warrior was only just beginning. The next morning on the Aurora felt different for Henry. He woke up with a heavy but calm feeling in his chest. The events of the past day still circled in his mind. He dressed slowly, thinking about Varek. He wondered if the alien warrior slept the same way humans did, or if he simply stayed awake all night guarding the ship. Henry stepped into the hallway and walked toward the engineering bay. As he moved through the ship, he noticed that the crew whispered more than usual. Some gave him curious looks. Others looked troubled. Everyone seemed to know that a powerful alien warrior now walked among them. When Henry entered the bay, his friend Kevin looked up. "Hey, you are finally here. And, is it true? The alien is really on board?" Henry nodded. "Yes, he is here. His name is Varek. He is not dangerous." Kevin raised an eyebrow. "Not dangerous?" "Henry, he looks like he could crush a metal door with one hand." Henry smiled a little. "He saved me. He is not like the others." Kevin sighed but did not argue. He returned to his tools, though his mind clearly stayed on Varek. Later that morning, Captain Laura sent a message for Henry to meet her in the observation room. When he arrived, he found her standing with Varek. Large star windows showed the endless dark space behind them. Henry joined them quietly. Captain Laura spoke first. "We need to discuss the situation. Varek has requested temporary refuge on our ship." Henry looked at Varek with surprise. "Refuge? Why?" Varek kept his eyes on the stars. "My people will see my actions as betrayal. The warriors I confronted will report this. Returning to them would mean punishment or death." Henry felt a cold wave move through him. "But you saved me." Varek finally turned his head and looked at him. "And for that I have accepted the consequences." Captain Laura's expression softened only a little. "I cannot just protect you without understanding what you bring to this ship. You are strong, fast, and trained for battle. You are also an unknown risk." Varek nodded. "I understand. I will follow your rules. I will not harm your crew." Henry stepped forward. "Captain, he really did protect me. He did not attack anyone. He only stopped the ones who tried to hurt me." Captain Laura looked at Henry thoughtfully. "Henry, your trust in him is noted. But we must still be careful." Varek bowed his head. "That is fair." Captain Laura left the room, giving them time alone. Henry stood beside Varek. They both looked out at the stars. After a moment, Henry spoke softly. "I do not want you to be punished because of me." Varek let out a slow breath. "You did nothing wrong. Your mistake was small. Their reaction was cruel. I do not follow cruelty." Henry felt warmth in his chest again. Varek's calm strength made him feel safe. Henry took a seat on a small bench near the window. "What will you do now?" Varek stayed standing, his tall frame casting a long shadow. "I will help your crew. I will use my skills to protect this ship. If danger comes, I will fight for the Aurora." Henry blinked in surprise. "You would fight for us?" Varek looked at him with steady eyes. "You showed me respect. You spoke to me without fear or hatred. That has value. My people rarely see such things." Henry's voice grew quiet. "I am glad you are here." Varek gave a slow nod. "I am glad too." Before Henry could say more, the ship's alarm suddenly rang through the halls. A sharp red light flashed above the doors. Henry shot to his feet. "What is happening?" Captain Laura's voice echoed through the speakers. "All crew to stations. An unknown vessel is approaching. Possible threat." Henry felt his heart pound. Varek's eyes darkened with focus. "I will come with you." Henry nodded, trusting him without hesitation. As they ran through the hall together, Henry realized something. This was no longer about an accident in a hallway. This was something bigger. Varek standing beside him felt right, like fate had placed them together for a purpose. And whatever threat approached the Aurora, they would face it together. The alarm continued to echo through the halls as Henry and Varek ran toward the command deck. The red lights along the ceiling flickered with every warning signal, making the air feel tense and heavy. Crew members rushed past them, some heading to weapon controls, others to engineering stations. Everyone moved with urgency. Henry tried to calm his breathing as he followed Varek's long and steady strides. Even in the middle of the chaos, Varek remained calm. His presence made Henry feel less afraid. When they reached the command deck, Captain Laura stood at the center screen with several officers around her. She glanced at Henry, then at Varek. "We have an incoming vessel," she said. "It is not responding to our messages." Henry looked at the screen. A dark, sharp-shaped ship approached from the left side of the display. It moved slowly like it was studying them. Varek stepped closer. "That is a hunter ship," he said. Captain Laura narrowed her eyes. "From your people?" Varek nodded. "Yes. They search for those who break our rules. They will come for me." Henry felt a cold shock run through him. "So they already know?" Varek did not look away from the screen. "They always know." Captain Laura folded her arms. "What will they do if they reach us?" Varek's voice was quiet but strong. "They will demand my return. If you refuse, they may attack." Henry stepped forward without thinking. "We cannot just hand you over." Captain Laura let out a slow breath. "This is dangerous, Henry." Henry knew she was right. He also knew what would happen to Varek if he went back. Before anyone could speak again, the ship shook with a soft vibration. A communication signal flashed. "They are trying to hail us," an officer said. Captain Laura nodded. "Put it on screen." The screen flickered. A new face appeared. It was another alien warrior with the same pale skin and dark eyes as Varek, but his expression was sharp and filled with hostility. "This is Commander Wrath of the Hunter Division. You are harboring a criminal from our people. Release him at once." Henry felt anger rise in his chest. "He is not a criminal," Henry said quietly. Wrath heard him and glared. "Human, stay silent. This matter does not concern your kind." Varek stepped forward. "Concerns them now. I stand with them." Wrath's eyes widened slightly, then narrowed with anger. "You have betrayed your own. There is no place for you among us." Henry clenched his fists. "He did what was right. Your warriors attacked me for a small accident. He protected me." Wrath ignored him and looked at Captain Laura. "Return Varek, or face the consequences." Captain Laura's voice stayed calm. "We will not hand over someone who sought refuge here." Wrath bared his sharp teeth. "Then your ship will fall." The screen went black. Henry felt his heart pound harder. Captain Laura turned to her crew. "Prepare shields. Prepare for contact." Henry felt a hand rest on his shoulder. He looked up and saw Varek standing beside him. "You do not have to stay near me," Varek said quietly. Henry shook his head. "I will not leave you alone." Varek nodded once. There was a soft warmth in his eyes, something Henry had not seen before. Moments later, the hunter ship's weapons powered up. Bright lights charged along its side. "Impact in 10 seconds," an officer called. Henry swallowed hard. Varek stepped forward, his voice rising with strength. "Captain, allow me to assist. I know their strengths. I know their tactics." Captain Laura looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "Join the defense team. Henry, go with him. He will need support." Henry nodded quickly. Henry and Varek ran down the hallway again, this time to the weapons chamber. The ship shook slightly as the first blast hit their shields. Henry glanced at Varek. "We can win this, right?" Varek's eyes stayed focused and fierce. "We will. I am with you." Henry felt a surge of courage. He realized something important. This was no longer just about an accident or a moment of fear. This had become a fight for Varek's freedom, and Henry would not let him face it alone. The Aurora shook violently as the hunter ship fired another blast. Red alarms flashed across the control panels. Henry held onto the railing, trying not to be thrown off balance. He could see Varek moving quickly and confidently, giving orders to the crew and helping them adjust the ship's defenses. Henry ran beside Varek, carrying tools and equipment to support him. The alien's presence made him feel safer than he had ever felt. Varek moved with precision, anticipating the hunter ship's attacks before they arrived. Henry followed, handing him devices and helping stabilize the controls. Suddenly, a part of the ship's hull cracked from a direct hit. Sparks flew, and smoke filled the air. Henry coughed and waved the smoke away, glancing at Varek. "Stay close," Varek said firmly. Henry nodded, feeling a rush of determination. "We can do this," he thought. Together, they worked through the chaos. Varek's strength and skill, combined with Henry's knowledge of the ship, allowed them to manage the damage quickly. Other crew members watched in awe as the human and the alien fought side by side, protecting the Aurora and everyone on it. After several tense minutes, the hunter ship tried to strike again. This time, Varek predicted its movement perfectly. He guided the ship's defenses, and the incoming attack was deflected. The blast hit the shields and ricocheted into space. Henry felt a surge of relief. Varek turned to him. "We are not finished, but this is a good start." Henry smiled through the tension. "I am glad I am here." Varek's eyes softened slightly. "I am glad you are too." The hunter ship, realizing it could not overpower the Aurora, retreated slowly. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief. Henry and Varek stood together, watching it disappear into the dark void of space. Captain Laura approached, her expression serious but calm. "You both did well. Your coordination saved the ship." Henry felt a wave of pride. He looked at Varek, who simply nodded, his face calm and unreadable. After the battle, the crew worked to repair the damaged sections. Henry stayed close to Varek, who assisted when needed, showing respect and patience toward humans. It was unusual for the Noctari to interact this way, and the crew began to trust him more with each passing hour. Henry realized that the accidental collision that had caused so much tension had led to something extraordinary. He had gained a strong ally, someone who understood courage and honesty in a way humans rarely saw. Later, Henry and Varek stood on the observation deck together, looking out at the stars. The Aurora was quiet again, and the soft hum of the ship was comforting. "I still cannot believe it all started because I tripped," Henry said quietly. Varek's gaze was fixed on the distant stars. "Sometimes small actions change everything," he said. Henry smiled. "I guess accidents can be important." Varek nodded. "And so can the choices we make after them." They stood in silence for a moment, knowing that their bond, formed by a simple accident, had grown into mutual respect, trust, and friendship. Henry finally spoke. "I think this is just the beginning." Varek's eyes met his. "Yes, the beginning of something new." Together, human and Noctari, they faced the unknown of space, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The accidental collision in a crowded hallway had not led to death or punishment. It had led to courage, alliance, and a friendship that would endure beyond the stars.